Welcome to another comparison video, this time featuring all the changes that will happen in Endwalker when looking at the melee roster, especially with the Reaper coming in as new job, swirling up the meta once again. But apart from the new job, there are significant changes to overall gameplay mechanics coming to all other melee jobs as well. So let us break down all the info that we can gather so far. Just remember that these are subject to change and especially potency values might differ heavily upon Endwalker's actual release. So don't take this as a clear-cut truth, but more like a vague recommendation. Starting off with utility. My initial thoughts about Reaper when we had no single clue and ability to be published, I was considering to have another pure DPS melee joining the side of the Samurai. But it turns out that the Reaper has party support in the form of Arcane Circle that looks a lot like combinations of Dancer skills, standard finish and improvisation, providing a 3% damage boost for 20 seconds, as well as granting resources to the Reaper's kit and unlocking Plentiful Harvest, a very powerful AoE attack that is increased upon more party members executing weapon skills under the Arcane Circle ability. So unlike my initial thoughts, Reaper is a team player, which is also amplified by its Arcane Crest skill, not only being a personal The Blackest Night for kids, but also when used correctly, a party regen that if utilized correctly becomes free passive healing output. And while Dragoon, Monk and Ninja are taking up some changes to cooldown timings and buff alignments, the party buffs they had in Shadowbringers stay identical, while the Samurai still only brings heavy DPS to the table, but even here some changes to its self-sustained utility is being made, so that the whole third eye mechanic feels much more straightforward and streamlined. And when it comes to movement abilities, though various changes and addition of charges onto certain abilities happen, this will lead to all jobs being more mobile than ever before. Maybe the Monk might see a slight improvement on that department, featuring 3 charges on its new Thunderclap Gap Close ability, which may lead to a smaller upper hand in movement aspects, compared to the other jobs at least. But overall changes to ranged attacks not interrupting combos and reducing clunkiness to many gap close abilities in general should improve a flexible gameplay without any doubt. Alright, damage on the other hand is something that I'm honestly a bit concerned about. While at first I thought that a Reaper will take the lead, watching those numbers and potencies on the Samurai that on top of the already high numbers in Shadowbringers will see additions in the form of Oji and Kashi Namikiri with a whopping total potency of 2000 for 2 attacks. Oh man, that really feels like a solid contestant for heavy imbalances at the start of 6.0. But other than that, while Reaper feels slightly stronger than its Dragoon, Ninja or Monk counterparts, these potencies can easily be adjusted, and to our fortune, we're talking about game developers that play their own game, so they should figure out imbalances by themselves. But if you want very powerful DPS for one day or week of imbalancing, Samurai might be my top recommendation and Reaper my second best. However, whatever DPS output we might face, this will change quickly, and all that remains important is how much fun does each job's playstyle can offer. So let us focus on this aspect primarily. Starting with my personal favorite in Shadowbringers, the Dragoon. While I always loved the fast pace and combo action driven powerhouse, that when not tanking the floor is pure fun and enjoyment to take to the field. This will remain nearly identical in Endwalker. The whole Endwalker skill kit is just put on top of what the Dragoon already has. So if you like the Dragoon in Shadowbringers, you will love it in Endwalker. Simply from the fact that there are some really cool changes, especially reducing overall clunkiness, and which many Dragoon players have dreamed about. First, Blood of the Dragon finally being a passive skill, which might sound gimmicky, but I hated to keep tracking this buff. That had been my #1 drawback on the Dragoon. Yes, it had been a cool skill to activate during pre-pull posing, but for actual fighting, no. And like the other jobs, charges are being added onto very important Dragoon skills like Spine Shatter Dive and Life Surge, as well as AoE attacks now being able to proc Power Surge, removing the need to start with a single target combo in AoE situations. So whatever you didn't like about the Dragoon so far, it might have been altered in a nice way, while also introducing the really cool Whirlwind Thrust mechanic, putting a highlight on top of your basic combat rotation. Ninja, yeah, maybe it's the same, but with a twist here and there. Bunshin gets a new finisher in the form of Phantom Kamaitachi, and apart from that, I really like that they have cut off Dream Within a Dream from Assassinate to get rid of very bad animation delays and timing issues. And here again, it feels like the whole Forked Raiju and Fleeting Raiju works identical to highlight the already existing points in the ninja's rotation. Kinda in the same way it happens with the Dragoon, only that it seems to work even closer to its Shadowbringers appearance and combat style. But we will see when keen ninja mains have broken down this already unique job with all of its mudras and jutsus. So if you like the ninja, especially the complex opener, you will not be disappointed in Endwalker. And without a surprise, Samurai is being cleansed in some rotational misalignments and failure potential as well, especially by Tsubame Geshi getting one additional stack and Meikyo Shisui now working as a handy tool to kickstart your rotation and opener into action. In particular for making it much more energetic and quick and without taking detours for crucial buffs. And where I feel the overall addition of buffs being applied by the job's AoE rotation as well is something the Samurai benefits significantly, having to keep up 2 buffs in total. But my personal highlights are Ikki Shoten's changes leading into these Skull Crusher attacks Ogi Namikiri and Kashi Namikiri, that now the Samurai is taking even more powerful one-slasher skills into battle. But like I said earlier, this might be a tad too powerful, so changes can happen on potencies. Nonetheless, I'm really looking forward to the new Samurai opener in Endwalker, and finally we don't have to think about artificial delays to line up Tsubame Geshi with buff windows, and don't have to babysit this ability as our main competence, which is awesome to see. So Samurai true to its form, but forged in flames to become the sharpest blade of them all. The Monk on the other hand feels like being reworked the most. Not only that True Strike and Twin Snakes will have their positional requirements being removed, but Perfect Balance now working entirely different, with stacks rather than a time window. And while I welcome the first change, I feel that many Monk players that specifically like the Monk for being so rotational and positional changing all the time, will not like these changes to Perfect Balance. However, with Thunderclap now simply being an utility tool and seeing changes to accessibility of meditation, it might become the most beginner-friendly Monk that we ever had. On the other hand, things like Riddle of Wind still offer complexity and rotational speed, especially when looking at the Formless Fist mechanics that now can be procced with many other skills to conjure very powerful strikes and attacks, where the Monk's arsenal had always been on the smaller side of variation. So let us see what lies beyond our fists. Maybe it is better than Monk ever had been. Okay, the Reaper, while finally supporting Dark Knight in its edgelord suffering, this job seems to be the jack of all trades, combining base elements of the Dragoon rotation with Ninja's cooldown windows, plus Samurai mobility and Monk pre-pull preparation aspects. But first things first. The base rotation gives me heavy Dragoon vibes, especially when looking at Gibbet and Gallows, where one attack boosts the other when being used, but then the whole Enshroud Lemure phase is causing heavy Dark Knight atmosphere with Blood Gauge-like resource management and even Void Reaping and Cross Reaping becoming free of positionals. That just looks so amazing and I cannot wait to test it out myself. And the Monk reference clearly comes from Soul Sow that should be used before pulling or in downtime phases to proc the connected Harvest Moon ability, while having a party boosted plentiful harvest that comes close to Samurai potencies, but with the power of friendship. Not so evil, huh? Okay, the name and description actually imply that you borrow soul energy with immortal sacrifices to let allied party members become part of your own soul reaping, so I guess it does fit into the theme. And while it is super hard for me to tell all the mechanical links from one combo to another into certain Soul Reaver or Enshroud windows, the more I am hyped than ever before to test out this job in person. One thing though, Hell's Egress and Ingress, creating portals at their locations that you can teleport to, this looks freaking amazing, and how the Samurai and Black Mage movement utility should always have been in the first place. So a kinda mix and match of all the other melee jobs with a slight breeze of Dancer, Black Mage and even Dark Knight, to become the ultimate melee job, at least when looking at the skill animations. I mean, the screen is shaking, what else do you need to know? Thank you so much for watching and for the amazing time we spent in Shadowbringers. So see you in 2 days, and until then keep up the hype, stay safe and healthy and have a wonderful expansion launch.